Hi guys, and welcome to this my video on using a financial solver to find the balance and final payment. And yes, it was obvious I was reading it. My name's Darren from Maffs Guru. Thank you very much for finding my channel and this video and hopefully the whole host of videos for this particular course. And even if you're not following the VCE over here in Australia, trust me, finance, financial solver and the stuff that's involved in this is really, really important. Before I go any further, do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Nobody really watches maths videos. And the fact you're watching this, if you actually head over there and subscribe to Maffs Guru, it just lets me know that someone other than my mother is watching it. Greatly appreciated if you can. Now, as I say normally, I would go through the learning objectives, but come on guys, you can pause it if you need to and see what it is I'm going to cover. Now, obviously, a recap here is really important. And when I made this slide, obviously the fact that the beast was basically there probably made sense at the time. Maybe I was trying to go for devil and completely messed up. But I'm a huge Disney fan, so yeah, no, don't judge, please. I know it's a little sad and I can't believe I've said it out loud. But the devil is in the detail of the questions we are about to do, hugely so. And if you understand the context of the question and understand all the stuff I've explained before about annuities and investments and loans, you should be some way along this. Some of the questions are going to sort of have recurrence relations that you're going to convert and use your financial solver, etc., etc., etc. But what I'm going to say is you are not going to be able to do this without the use of a CAS calculator, all right? If you try, you will fail horribly. So sorry to be that honest, but again, you will fail horribly if you don't have a CAS calculator. Now, I'm going to use the TI Inspire. It's nothing against the ClassPad, but to be honest with you, as I've said in many videos before, A, I have the emulator for the TI Inspire. B, the functionality is exactly the same, all right? So I'll explain, you just adapt, for the ClassPad. But again, I can't say enough. You have been warned that without your CAS calculator, you are not going to be able to do this. And in fact, a proportion of the questions on your SAC and in fact your VCE exam will also be CAS enabled and you'll only be able to solve them with the CAS. So come on, let's get going with the CAS and make sure that you understand how to use it. Now, understanding the screen is actually incredibly important for the CAS calculator. Now, when I actually bring up my calculator, you will notice, he says over here, that my screen seems to end at this PPY column, right? And again, you can't really see what it is I'm clicking on, but there we go, that PPY. But if you scroll down, there are actually two other sections to this as well, CPY and PMT at end. Well, the PMT at for Victoria will always stay as end, so you don't have to worry about the tool. But what I just need you to realize is when you do this thing, just make sure that you realize that the calculator actually has other sections as well. Really important for you to realize, or at least you can scroll up and down. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Let's turn that off for the moment. Now, when I take out a mortgage, right, and I get very, very tense when I talk about mortgages, the chances are I'm going to take it over a fixed time period. So for example, I might take my mortgage over 30 years. Now, if you know anything about mortgages, I pay it monthly. So I'm going to basically end up with 30 times 12 lots of payments, right? And when you add that up with my mortgage, it is terrifying how much I'm going to end up paying the bank back. But again, I'll put that therapy to one side for another day. So I'm going to be interested in a number of payments I'm going to pay. I could be paying money into annuity. I could be taking money out of annuity. I could be having a loan. I could be investing. So the value of N, as I say here, is the number of payments being made over the course of the investment or loan. Really, really important. Now, you do not need to, when you do this, have to multiply 30 by 12 in your head. You can actually enter in the calculator 30 times 12. It will work it out for you. Don't mess things up just because of a silly calculation error. My interest rate, and again, I'm going to cry, for my mortgage is going to be given as a per annum figure. So your I in percent is always going to be a per annum figure. Now, don't get all bogged up in, oh, do I have to work out monthly and quarterly? No, it is whatever the per annum is given. Now, the principal value, how much money are you giving? How much money are you being given? So a loan will give me money. An annuity, I might pay money in. An investment, I might pay money in. And there's a bit of a trick coming up, so just listen up for that. PMT. Well, if I've got a loan, I'm going to have to pay it back. I'm going to have to make some sort of payment to the bank. All right, and I'm going to make those payments for, in this situation, 12, 24, 36, 360 months. The future value of my loan. Well, after a certain, I might not pay my loan off. I may only pay 10 years of my loan. I may want to know, well, how much will I own in 10, or how much will I still have to pay back in 10 years' time? So that's my future value. But in many cases, We want for a loan to pay it back. And that's really where the context of the question comes in. It gets a bit confusing because they go, oh, I'm going to pay a loan back. And on that little bit of a sentence, you have to infer that the future value is going to be 0. PPY and CPY. PPY, payments per year. How many payments are you making per year? Although I've put in maybe, 360 payments, the computer or the calculator needs to know how many of those are going to be made every single year. Then it does its voodoo magic in the background. And CPY, how often is interest compounded? Now again, for the questions you've done previously, you'll go, oh, that's okay, it's 12, it will say monthly. Yes. And in Victoria, generally speaking, I'm covering myself a little bit here, but in Victoria, those two values there will always be the same. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of information. And a question will always give you 6 of those. Because the financial solver, you can only ever work out one thing at a time, all right? So I might be given everything except the principal value, I can work it out. I might be given everything except the interest, I can work it out. All right, so that's the basics of the screen done. The most important bit for this moment in time are the words negative and positive. Okay, so when I get given money, I feel flipping positive. I am going to run out and I'm going to buy something new. Positive basically means it makes me feel happy. Right, so what instances in life will I be given money? And it's a little bit counterintuitive because basically if I go into the bank and have a loan, they are going to give me money. That's what a loan is, right? So a house loan will basically make me feel pretty positive because they're giving me money. If I give away money, if I have to walk into the bank and make a payment, or I pay money into an account, or I pay money onto my loan, it makes me feel pretty bad. Imagine putting your hand in your pocket and handing over $200 or $500 or $2,000. That's going to be pretty negative, isn't it? It's going to make you feel pretty rubbish. So payments can be negative. So when I'm giving money away, but what if I receive money? Well, no, hold on. I've just said if I receive money, that's really good. So like in an annuity, when I'm being given money, that will be positive, right? So again, the tricks to these questions that throw people over left, right, and center is basically the positives and the negatives. You get them the wrong way around, the whole question crashes and burns. What about this FB business? Well, a piece of information, and obviously you do know that you can go to maffsguru.com and download the notes behind me and write all over them. I mean, that would be sensible, wouldn't it? Because I can't put everything on a slide. That's why I'm talking, because you go, oh, that was important. That was important. Write it down. Oh, it's free to sign up as well. And tell your mates. All right, enough of the plug-in, yeah? What you will generally find is your FV and your PV, or PV and FV, are always going to be the opposite sign. All right, and again, that will become clearer as we do the context of the question. Right, here are some examples. Now, I know that I ask my students to always write down NI, PV, PMT, FV, PPY, CPY, and fill in the information per the question. Some SACs I know will actually give a screenshot and actually ask you to write in the values on the screenshot and then use your calculator to work it out. But it is important to know that for the ClassPad, sorry, try that one again, for the TNI Inspire, if you want to find a value, you have to put the cursor in it and then press enter. All right, so, and again, I'll show you the examples in a moment. Right, let's go through a context of the question. Lars invests $500,000. So first things first, is that your principal value, your final value, a payment? Well, that's your principal value. So the first thing we have here is my principal value. Am I given that money or am I giving it away? Well, again, I'm investing it. So it appears like I'm giving it away. And you're going to say, well, hold on a moment, that's stupid because you're still keeping the money. I know. But imagine walking into the bank with $500,000. I wish. And basically giving it over. It's going to make you feel pretty negative, right? So in which case, my PV, before I even start there, is going to be minus 500, 1, 2, 3. So that minus, I'm going to make that a bit clearer. So it is there. At 5.5% per annum. Oh, hold on a moment, that's an interest rate. I wanted the per annum, so that becomes 5.5. Don't put the percent in. Compounding monthly. Oh, hold on a moment. I'm compounding monthly. That 1 is going to become 12. And I told you earlier that the PPY and the CPY are pretty much always going to be the same. He makes a regular deposit of $500 per month. I'm paying in money. I'm losing money out of my pocket again. It's making me feel negative. Minus 500. So my PMT is minus 500. What is his value of investment after 5 years? And again, this thing here is where people get tripped up because 5 years. A lot of people will want to write 5 in here, but that's not the number of payments. He's making 5 years of payments monthly, right? So he's making 5 years of monthly payments. So in this situation, I am going to write 5 times 12. Now that means there's only one thing, because the question says, what is the value of his investment? And again, language-wise, that's basically saying, what's his future value? So here is my future value. So I'm going to fire up my calculator, and here we go. I'm going to put in the values. He says clicking the thing there. So delete 5 times 12, and I normally do tab because it'll take me to the next section. 5.5, he says his fingers is all fingers, his thumbs. Minus 500, 1, 2, 3. Minus 500, tab, tab. Change that to 12. That should also change to 12. All right, so I put all my data in there, and when I hit enter, out comes what? Yep, so basically the value of his investment after 6 years will be, he says, writing in highlighter, come on, pull it together, Darren. $692,292 point. Now, do I write all of those decimal places? No, because money is to 2 decimal places. So rounding to 2 decimal places is really, really important. And I know lots of people for general maths go, oh, I don't like rounding. Well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to like it or you're going to lose so many marks for these questions. Now, one other function I need you to realize is that you are going to need to, for later questions, start copying and pasting. And so for the TI Inspire, I can actually do Control-C to copy, and then I can do Control-V later on. I don't know whether that's true of the ClassPad, but hopefully you guys will already know. You may be able to just highlight and drag, I think, for the ClassPad, but copying and pasting is going to become another important skill. So there we go. Now, if anything you are getting from that one question, and there's more to come, is that you have got to understand the context of the question. Are you giving money? Are you being given money? An example, Andrew borrows $20,000. Oh, hold on a minute. I've gone into the bank. I've borrowed some money. I'm feeling a bit happy. I've got it in my hands. The bank has sort of given me in my hands. So in that situation, that is my principal value, and it is positive. Why? Because it's making me feel pretty positive that I've got 20,000 at an interest rate of 7.25% per annum. All right, it's the per annum that I want to put in there. Compounding monthly. Oh, look at that. Before I've even gone, I've got 4 pieces of information. The loan will be repaid. Now there is the trick to the question. The loan will be repaid. That is basically code for the future value is going to be 0. And a lot of people miss that one. It's going to be repaid over 4 years. Oh, that might come important later. That 4 years might come important later with a regular payment of $481.25. All right, so Andrew borrows, but I've got to pay the money back. That payment has got to be a negative. So that's going to be my payment minus $481.25. Each month for 47 months, followed by a final payment to fully repay the loan. Now again, with finance, it's unlikely that the last payment will be exact, right? You'll always either overpay or underpay, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Right, so we've got some information here. How much does Andrew owe after 3 years? Oh, now notice they've given me all that information, but then suddenly they've thrown a bit of a curveball. They've tried to change it because a minute ago we were looking at 4 years, weren't we? Now it says 3 years. All right, well, that's basically now code for saying I know my number of payments. So that's going to be 3 times, and it was monthly, 12. But I've now got information in everything. No, because what it now says is change the question, and it basically goes, how much does Andrew owe? That is code for what's the future value. So now suddenly for part A, I don't know my future value. So I've got all my information here. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go back and go up here, and I'm going to, oh, hold on a moment. Why has my calculator gone into a strange mode? Well, I'm going to escape out of that. I'm going to go doc 7, 2, and what do I notice? I've got my calculation mode in exact. I'm going to change it to approximate, and then go menu 8, 1, and it should have put it back in decimals. I don't know why that happened. That was rather odd. My computer having a bit of a fritz. Right, so here we go. So let's fill in the data. 3 times 12. Hit tab. 7.25 was my interest. 2123 was what I borrowed. Minus $481.25. Let's leave that for the moment. 1212. Right, now what you notice is I know I've got my old value in there, but because I filled in all the other information, when I hit enter now, I get basically minus 5554.36. So for part A, I would end up with my value of dollar minus, do I put the minus? No, because the minus means I've still got to pay that. And that makes sense in the context of the question. The minus says I still owe that money, right? So just again, whenever you see these values, make sure you understand the context of the question. I think that's mainly what the next 4 sections of these videos are going to be there for to do, to check that you understand the context of the videos. Right, what is the final payment that Andrew must make to fully repay the loan? Okay, so we know that it's going to be, this again is a trick, that it's, the future value is not going to be 0. I'll explain why in just a moment. What is the final payment? We now need to change that 3 times 12 to 4 times 12. Now, why is it 4 times 12? Because we want to see how much is going to be at the end of the loan. And it says it was going to be long, the loan would last for 4 years. So 4 times 12, tab, 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 right? And I want to see what the future value is because, oh, hold on a moment. My future value there is 11 cents, but it's positive. Now that positive 11 cents means I've overpaid. The bank owes me 11 cents. Whew. Well, not really. So what I would now do, going back to the type of questions we had before, is I would take that 11 cents. I'm supposed to pay $481.25, but I'm not. If I pay that, I'm going to pay 11 cents too much. So my final payment is going to be $481.25 minus 11 cents, which is going to give me $481.14. So that actually would be my final payment. I don't want to overpay the bank. It doesn't make any sense. I want to try and clear that loan down. Now, a lot of people tend to go here, well, what about all the other decimal places? Don't worry about it. Money is always rounded to 2 decimal places. Round it to 2 decimal places and then do what you need. Right, let's turn that off for a moment and let's go on to our next example. Charlie invests $300,000 into an annuity. He's investing. I'm giving away money. I know it's still mine, but I'm giving it away. I've got to walk in and have that painful conversation where I hand over $300,000. So my PV is minus $300,000 into an annuity paying 5% interest per annum. Do you notice what we're doing there? We've got 5 compounding monthly. There we go. So that's 12 and that's 12. Now again, I'm so used to doing monthly. How do you think we're going to trick you in a sack? We're going to go quarterly. I know. Read the question. Over the next 10 years, they're giving me some indication of time. Charlie receives a payment. Oh, give me the money. Give me the money. Show me the money. Anyway, all right. So I'm getting some money. Is that positive or negative? If I get money, it's like, oh, I like money. Money makes me happy. Money makes me positive. It's got to be positive. So 3182 per month from the annuity for each month except the final month. And again, that sort of makes sense. The last month you're going to run out of money. There's not going to be quite enough in there. Right, find the value of the annuity after 5 years. Okay, so what's that telling me? 5 years, that's my end value. So I've got 5 years and I'm getting how many payments? 12. All right, I've got everything I need. Let's fire up my calculator, put the information in. He says, where's my top value gone? There it is. So my N of 48. So I've got 5 times 12, and again, I'm sure we know it's 60, but I'm not going to take any, I'm not going to make any, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not going to take any chances. Minus 300, 1, 2, 3. I'm getting $3,182. It's compounding and payments per year. So I'm going to go back up and it says, what's the value of the annuity after 5 years? Again, all I did was put it on future value, hit enter on my calculator, ka-ching, up comes that value. Now, think about it. What have I got? I've got $168,612.25. Positive. Does that make sense? Am I going to get that money? Is that how much I've got? If I went into the bank now after the 5 years, what would I get? Yeah, I would get the 168,000. I may have invested, or Charlie may have invested 300,000, but I'm getting money back. Oh, yay, part A done. Find the final payment from the annuity. Well, okay, when we're looking for the final payment, that's a way of saying that it is going for 10 years. So rather than having 5 times 12 now, I'm going to put 10 times 12 and see what comes out. So 10 times 12, dub, 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 dub. All right, find the final payment from the annuity. Now I know that you're going to say, well, why am I looking at the payment? The reason being is I actually find it easier to find the future value there and see what actually is left to pay, or what my final payment is. Now that minus $5.36 means I'm losing, means that after 120 payments, I owe the bank $5? No, I don't, thank you very much. So actually what I'll do is, rather than take $3,182, I'm going to subtract the $5.36 from that, and ultimately that is the final payment I will receive from the bank. I don't want to owe the bank anything. Remember, minus means I would end up owing the bank money. Well, then don't. So what I'm going to do is hit escape on my calculator. Sadly, there's no other way of doing this, guys. You have to hit escape. 3182 minus $5.36 gives me $3,176.64. And again, with these type of questions, it is really important to make sure you follow any instructions in terms of rounding. And although many of them say round to the nearest cent, I can guarantee you somewhere it will say round to the nearest dollar. Why? Because you'll get tricked and you'll lose a mark. Right, so here's some VCAA questions. Almost the end of this video. I know it's a long one. The rest of them will be relatively quicker because we'll just be using the same concepts over and over again because it's all in the context of the question. The reason I'm putting this one in here is because you need to be able to confidently convert from a recurrence relationship into financial solver language. And you're going to say, what? You can do this. Remember, as I say, I always go N, I, PV, PMT, FV, CPY / PPY. And I do that because ultimately they're going to be the same for Victorian schools. And in Perth, they're not. You have payments at the start, at the end. Oh yeah, that's horrible if you're watching this in Perth. Right, so first things first, do I know my principal value? So let's do my principal value. Well, yes, that's my initial value. What is it? A balance of a loan. So in that situation, money's been given to me. That would be my $400,000. Good. What else do I know? Months, right? There is a monthly relationship here. This is a monthly relationship. So I now know that my CPY and PPY is going to be 12. The balance of a loan is modeled by that. What is my final value going to be? 0, because I want to pay out my loan. What does this minus 2024 mean? I'm paying money off my loan. So again, that's going to be minus 2024. Do I know my interest rate? No, I don't know my interest rate. But if you remember, and this is the trick of the question, if you understand how to convert that 1.003 back into an annual interest rate, because at the moment that's not annual, that is monthly. So I know that my capital R is 1.003. I know that my capital R is equal to 1 plus my little r on 100. Take away 1 from both sides and multiply by 100 gives me a little r of 0.3%. So that is my, in this situation, monthly interest rate. So I would times that by 12 to give me 3.6% as my annual interest rate. Now, the only thing then is I'm trying to find n because this question is talking about a time. Is it 25, 26, 28, 29, 30 years? So I've got to find my value of n. I've got all the information that I need. So I'm going to go menu, 8.1. And let's see what we've got here. So n I'm trying to find, let's leave that one for the moment, 3.6, 400, 123, minus 2024, 0, 12, 12. So again, so now, fingers crossed if I go up in here, enter, it gives me 300.002. Well, for all intents and purposes of this question, that means that that is going to be 300 watt, he says, writing in laser pen. 300 payments. Well, how many payments a year are there? 12, because it's monthly. So ultimately, if I then do 300 payments divided by 12, it's actually going to give me 25, and in which case A is my correct here. Can you imagine how many marks that's going to be on a sack? The working out they're going to try and scaffold to get you to do something like that. Now, I'm not saying it's on a sack. I'm not saying it's on your sack. But these are the type of things that we can ask you that will try and trick you to convert a recurrence relationship into financial solver to answer some questions. And obviously, VCAA think it's important as well because it tends to be in their questions. To purchase additional workplace equipment, Pina took out a reducing balance loan of $580,000 with interest calculated monthly, the balance of the loan. The final repayment that is required to fully pay off the loan is smaller than all other payments by an amount less than $1. Determine this amount. All right, well, we go again. N, I, PV, PMT, FV, CPY, PPY. Oh, free sound effects. Not bad. Right, so let me see. Once again, what have we got? Well, we've got 580,000. What does she do? The balance of a loan. So principal value, 580, 123, because the loan has been given to me. She's making repayments of 3,000. Oh, so it's minus 3045.26. She's going to pay off the loan. We want that to be zero-ish, do we? Let's come back. It's monthly, so we know compounds and payments per year 12, right? Does it say how long it's going to take for the loan to pay off? Nope. So this is where we almost have a two-stage question, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. Can we work out my interest rate? Well, yes, once again, we know we've got 1.002. So my big R is 1.002. We know therefore that 1.002 is 1 plus my little r on 100. That's going to give me a little r of 0.2%, and that's the compounded, that's the nominal monthly or whatever else. Well, as it is monthly, I'm going to times it by 12, which gives me 2.4%. So there's 2.4%. So what I'm now going to do is, firstly, I'm going to find the number of payments. That seems to be the only thing. Why? Because this question doesn't tell me how long the loan lasts for. So I've got to learn how long that loan actually lasts for. Right, so let's do tab. What have we got? 2.4, 580, 123, minus 3045.26. Future value 0, compounds. Right, so first things first, I'm going to find out how many payments will I need to make. Well, we can clear the loan in 239.999999 payments, which just doesn't make sense. So the chances are my loan is expected to last 240 months. But what will my future value be? So having found that, my n has to be a whole number. So I'm going to change that to 240, because now what I'm going to say, well, if I do make 240 payments instead of 239.99999, what will I end up as my future value? Oh, hold on a moment, 15 cents. And it's positive. That means that means that I would actually need to pay 15 cents less in my final payment. And so therefore, my answer would be 15 cents, because that is basically how much less I would need to pay as per the question is asking. Just see what I'm doing here. Now, if you don't understand this stuff, go back, watch the video, slow it down, look at where I'm getting the values from. This stuff is critically important that you understand. Johanna deposited 12,000 in an investment account earning an interest of 2.8% per annum, compounding monthly. Oh, here we go again. And what you tend to find over a while is the questions become pretty formulaic. Yeah, I can't see how they can confuse you outside of interest-only loans and perpetuities, which we'll come back to a little bit later on. So Joanna deposited 12,000. Joanna's lost money. So the principal value is minus 12,000. Interest rate of 2.8%, 2.8. Compounding monthly, so that's going to be 12. She would like this account to reach a balance of $25,000. Now, hold on a moment. That's a future value. That's how much she wants in there. So it's a future value. All right, so again, because my present value, my principal value is negative, this would have to be positive. And that sort of makes sense as well, because if I went into the bank in 5 years' time, I want to gain that 25,000 back. I want the bank to give me back my 25,000, or Joanna's 25,000. 5 years. Oh, they give me a time period. So that's 5, but times what? Well, it's compounding monthly, so 5 times 12, which now means that basically we can find my PMT. It says to achieve this balance, you'll need to make an extra payment to the account every month. The minimum value of this payment is closest to, again, that just means find the payment. Don't know why they didn't say just find the payment, but anyway, right. 5 times 12, 2.8, minus 12, 123. Payment we don't know, 25, 123. The rest of it is fine. So if I go back to my PMT and hit enter, minus 107. None of my values on that screen are minus. None of the values on the screen are minus. Don't worry about it. It doesn't need to be minus, because the minus just means that's a payment she is making, because it is an investment account. She's making a payment. So in which case, the only one that seems to match $174.11 in this situation would be B as my correct answer. And there we go. That's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully it's been useful. Again, mathsguru.com, absolutely free to sign up. He says drawing all over it and completely the wrong thing. All right, go there. It's free to sign up, downloadable notes, videos, VCAA exam questions where I work through them, and so much more. Please subscribe to me on YouTube if you can, and follow me on other social media. All right, I'm going to call it a day and record another video. Please, hopefully I'll see you in that one. If not, take care and stay safe.